Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Keipert Labs. Today we're going to be discussing the concepts of atomic number and mass number. But first, let's take a little bit of a look at our atom as it stands so far. Okay, so I'm going to draw it a bit like this. Okay, so we have three little subatomic. So this is our general kind of structure of an atom that we're working with at the moment. Okay, we'll go into some of the history of the models of the atom as we go. But for now, we have three particles here, representing this one, and this one. Okay, now we've identified previously that there are the three subatomic particles that we're interested in, the three kind of parts of the atom. We've got protons, we've got neutrons, and we've got electrons. Okay, the protons and neutrons are contained inside this part at the center that we call the nucleus, and the electrons orbit around the outside, kind of taking up some space. And then what we have is that the inside part is empty. Okay, we recognize that protons are positively charged, and electrons are negatively charged, and neutrons have zero charge. Okay, so are neutral, no charge. Okay, but then what we want to be able to recognize is that there are important things that we want to know and be able to describe about an atom based on what the nucleus is like and how many protons it has. And so we're going to introduce those concepts now. Okay, so let's say we have a particular atom, okay, a bit like the one that we described. And we want to identify which element does it belong to. Okay, is it a carbon atom? Is it an oxygen atom? Is it a gold atom? Or something else altogether? In order to decide which element that it belongs to, the key characteristic that we've talked about is that the number of protons gives us that information. Okay, so that seeing so number of protons inside the atom is the key characteristic. Okay, and we give that a number. We call that its atomic number. Okay, so it refers to the number of protons in an atom. Okay, so quick kind of illustration here. Okay, so let's say we have something that's got an atomic number of 1, which is hydrogen. Okay, in a nucleus of a hydrogen atom, there's 1 proton. If I get helium, which has an atomic number of 2, I have 2 protons. Okay, if I go for carbon, has an atomic number of 6, I have 6 protons. Okay, you see what I'm getting at here? This idea that whatever the atomic number is the same as the number of protons in the atom of that element. Okay, and if we know how many protons it has, we can link that with its atomic number. So if you come across an atom that has 10 protons in its nucleus, then I can look at atomic number of 10, which is neon. Okay, so we can work from either way. Okay, but what we've also identified is that inside the nucleus we have protons and we have neutrons. Okay, that the idea is that these two things both exist inside the nucleus. Okay, we've identified how many protons, but the mass of the atom, which is mostly in the nucleus, is also made up of the neutrons as well. And so what we want to know is how many protons plus neutrons are there in our atom. Okay, and because then the idea is that that's where it's going to help us to calculate what's the mass of our atom. Okay, and so we call this number, so this gives us a whole number, we call this our mass number for our atom. Okay, so if I have 10 protons plus 11 neutrons, I have a mass number of 21. If I have 6 protons plus 6 neutrons, I have a mass number of 12. If I have 6 protons and a mass number of 14, then I can see that my number of neutrons must be 8, and so on. We can look at this relationship. It's a really simple maths equation, but it's representing an important chemical idea. Now, just as a quick little extension concept here, is that these two particles that exist inside the nucleus, we give them the name of nucleons. We say that these particles are called nucleons, but that is an extension concept. You don't need to be able to be familiar with that terminology, but if you know it, then that helps. Okay, so what we've seen then is that with this, that we use two key terms to describe properties of an atom. Okay, we talk about atomic number, which refers to the number of protons in the nucleus, and then mass number, which refers to the number of protons plus neutrons in the nucleus. Okay, so these are two kind of key ideas. But then what we will see is that then in a future video we're going to unpack this idea that we can come up with atoms of the same element that have different mass numbers, different versions that are slightly heavier or lighter than each other, but are still the same element. So then it becomes a matter of, okay, well, how can we explain that? And then how can we describe that? But that's for a future video. Okay, so we've looked at the concepts of atomic and mass number and seeing how they connect to the properties of an atom. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.